I do want to talk about this story, though. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be Donald Trump, nor will it be Joe Biden. The man who will save this world is Elon Musk. I'm being facetious. That's kind of the joke, but I'm also only half joking.
Online
Aside from
trolls,
Elon challenging the narrative machine of the ADL, calling out corrupt politicians, securing, not perfectly, but helping people bring back free expression on social media, Elon Musk, it is being reported now, averted World War III and may have saved the planet from nuclear annihilation. The probability of that being the circumstance is probably very, very low, but it just sounds fun, so I want to say it. The story is actually really simple. We have this from the Washington Post. Elon Musk cut internet to Ukraine's military as it was attacking Russian fleet. So the first story that comes out is that while this major counteroffensive was underway, Elon Musk shuts down Starlink, cutting their communications, stopping the offensive. Elon Musk responded, saying there was an emergency request from government authorities to activate Starlink all the way to Sevastopol. The obvious intent being to sink most of the Russian fleet at anchor. If I had agreed to their request, then SpaceX would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation. I wonder if, wrong article, if Ukraine sank Russia's Black Sea fleet using SpaceX, using U.S. weapons and intelligence, would Russia have dramatically escalated the conflict at the time? There is a possibility it may have been the case. I don't know for sure, but Elon Musk refused to provide Starlink to be used by the Ukrainians in this counteroffensive. He may have single-handedly stopped a major escalation, which could have led to World War III.
Do you know what the size of the fleet was and the makeup of the fleet in Sevastopol at the time?
No, we do know that U.S. provided intelligence to Ukraine to sink their flagship. So I don't know.
That actually happened. That happened in the Black Sea in open water.
Yep. Ukraine used U.S. weapons and intelligence. And I think it's even unfair to say the U.S. sank the flagship of Russia's Black Sea fleet. And Ukraine was intending to do more damage. And Elon Musk said, I'm not going to assist you with this. Could you imagine if he did? That's crazy.
He was pretty open in the early days that he didn't want to be involved with the war. And I think he was going to he was going to send Starlink to Ukraine. And then they said no, because they wouldn't do it under his terms or something. And then he was like, okay, then. And they're like, actually, we need it. So then he sent it over there. It was a long time ago. Yeah.
He's trying to protect Earth until we can get off of it and go to Mars.
The men who built America were not politicians. They were businessmen.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I mean, in terms of the uniparty establishment machine, man, Elon Musk is running afoul. But it shows the decay of the uniparty power in that Elon Musk openly defies them, does not allow them to wage war using his infrastructure. This is unprecedented. If you look at Twitter before Elon, they gleefully gave the government anything they wanted. It kind of, I'm optimistic, man.
He's making me into a bigger fan.
Social media was part of the CIA.
I'm looking at a restoration of true American values of decentralization of power. And for the longest time, we had an authoritarian uniparty that did whatever it wanted, regardless of the Constitution. Now, you look at all of their devices, you look at the activist base, you look at the narrative machine, and they're failing across the board. People tweeting about how the ADL no longer has any power. They say, all these people who are criticizing us are white supremacists, and everyone laughs. No one cares anymore. They have been defanged.
It's kind of like the uniparty. When two uniparties go at it, it creates an opportunity for a revolution. That's what happened with
two uniparties.
Yeah,
we don't need a revolution. Revolution's a bad word.
What happened with the American founding fathers is that there was a uniparty of the Brits and there was the uniparty of the French.
No, that is completely.
And they went at each other, and the result was a liberation.
They were totally different countries, though.
Yeah, they were like two separate. Like they were monarchs. They were monarch. They were literal uniparties. And now we have the American uniparty, the liberal economic order, and the Chinese Rus liberal, or not liberal, but it's a uniparty. I see
what you're saying, but
and they're clashing in Ukraine. So now there's an opportunity for businessmen to step in and create something new.
I see what you are saying, like the unilateral rule of the United States clashing with other authoritarians, but Russia may be aligned with China and BRICS and everything, but when you get to the global scale, it's not a uniparty. There's greater conflict between nations.
I suppose the CCP's uniparty and the British
uniparty refers to in the United States the Democrats and Republicans that are secretly aligned and pretend to be opposed to each other.
Yeah, well, the Chinese Communist Party is literally a uniparty that runs that country.
But the United States and China are not aligned, so it's not a global uniparty. It's
it's two uniparties going at each other. So that's why I think it's an opportunity for the private sector to be like, while you guys quibble, we're going to create something functional. And you see Elon doing it in real time.
Maybe we should call it in the United States the former uniparty because they've lost too much power at this point. You know, look, I know that they're arresting and charging people and all that stuff, but they're really failing at it every step of the way. Their ability to influence is weakening drastically.
I just
every
watched
week.
Mehdi Hassan interview Vivek Ramaswamy, and there's lag. It's MSNBC 2023, and they still have lag in their video conference.
Well, it's always been the case with satellite.
It has. Like, I use Zoom, there's no lag. I use Skype, there's no lag. What the hell infrastructure is this archaic dinosaur of a media monolith using that there's still freaking lag and they can't have a...
Sometimes they can't even figure out stereo and mono. Like,
do you guys
hear it in one ear and like...
Do you guys remember when CNN did the satellite interview from the same parking lot?
Yeah.
Two people in the same parking lot, and they did a satellite interview as if they were different places.
So the reason I brought up lag and MSNBC is because I think that's just evidence of what you're saying, that the uniparty function is crumbling. They're just so behind the times.
Oh, the ratings are in the gutter. Their influence is down, is almost gone. The fact that Elon bought Twitter and turned it into X is a huge example of this. They were using Twitter as a weapon to spy on people, to control and to influence, and now they've lost it. It's remarkable how much they keep losing, which is why they're getting desperate and trying to remove Trump from the ballot and have him arrested, because they know they're losing.
I'd like for the American government to win. I don't know if there's just one government.
Oh, no.
I'd like for the American people to win.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm on that team. You know what? I will say that we're winning. The American people are winning when Assange is freed. When we have Edward Snowden back in the U.S. without fear of him going to jail for a long time. When people like Ross Ulbricht are free. Like I hear what you're saying and I want to believe it, but we're not there quite yet. We just sentenced a man to 22 years in prison, to Enrique Tarrio, which I don't agree with him, necessarily, but what did he do? He wasn't even in the Capitol building. Like, what are we doing here?
Agreement is entirely irrelevant. I'm not trying
absolutely.
to even discuss whether or not you agree actually blunts the point. It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. However, internet people will then be like, oh my God, you're a fan. I mean, I was already called, during my campaign, I took a picture with somebody and they were like,
revel in their contempt. Welcome their contempt.
I
Work
do.
for it.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, I don't support the Proud Boys. However, you know what they've done to this guy is horrible.
Yep.
Absolutely horrible. And if they can do it to him, they can do it to you. And that's the problem. If they're going to come after people, it's going to be people like us in this room. It's going to be people who are speaking out and saying things. And if they can put Enrique Tarrio, who 5 years ago, I didn't even know who the guy was. And all of a sudden, he deserves 22 years in prison.
I don't know. What did he text people to stay? Is that what it was?
He texted people to go do something. If I text you to go do something,
so
like, are you going to do it?
The defense said that he wasn't in contact with anyone that day. And apparently the prosecution and the media is reporting that he said, don't leave. But I don't know the context to which he said, don't leave. Was it the day before they were like, hey, we're in D.C., what should we do? It's like, well, don't leave. And now they're making it seem like he was saying stay in the Capitol. The defense said he didn't contact them at any point. I will say, if it comes to the point where they begin going beyond the scope of, Owen Schroyer, who was on the ground, and they're saying his speech warrants a prison sentence. He was on the ground, and that's their pretext for the arrest. If they escalate to the point where they're coming after pundits, I would argue that out of anyone in this room, Ian's the first person they'd target.
Man,
you know why?
Because I got long hair, bro, and I'm a wizard.
This happened with when I was with Luke Rutkowski in Chicago, and the police we believe they planted drugs in the apartment we were staying at. They target people who are less likely to be able to muster up legal defense funds. So if they wanted to disrupt a show like this and make claims about rhetoric or inflammatory things, would they go after me? Well, that's probably a bad idea. It would create a huge PR press storm. It would create a huge backlash. We'd generate tons of money, and it would create a huge legal fight. Would they go after Phil Labonte, multi-platinum recording artist? I mean, that could create a huge wave across the entertainment industry. Ian, on the other hand, you are the least likely out of anyone here to be able to muster up a strong legal defense. Granted, we would defend you. What I'm saying is, I don't think anyone's going to come and try and arrest you. I'm saying the target of who they go after is who can we get easily. Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boys, most people don't know who he is. They're not going to look.
Yep.
They're waiting to go after Trump until they can build everything up on the ground, because they know a direct move against Trump is it makes him millions of dollars. It strengthens him. It builds his base.
Look
It's
at the
happening.
mugshot.
Yeah,
The
it's
mugshot.
literally happening. I've never been a Trump supporter, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I'm going for the political prisoner. Like, that's it.
So-
Who else? Right?
so
Vivek Ramaswamy.
yes,
but
I do
first,
like Vivek also. However, is he going to be the nominee?
But
Probably
you
not.
look at January 6th, and they go after people you've never heard of, that don't make the press, and you don't even know are in jail. And these people, try as they might, can't get the word out. There's too many of them. This is what they do, one at a time. Then they announce 2.5 years later that Owen Schroyer will be criminally charged. They're starting from the bottom and moving upwards. It's very much like that story we talk about eBay. You know, when eBay was started, it was yellow, and they wanted to change the background to white, but everyone got mad, so they did it one step at a time over the course of a year. They don't want to come out immediately right after January 6th and say, Donald Trump, you're under arrest. It would create chaos. They got to go for the easier low-hanging fruit, which is lower income people who are confused. And then what do? They go to this, 37-year-old woman who was walking around the Capitol waving a flag when everyone went in the building. And they say, you're going to go to prison for 8 years for a felony charge for terrorism, or you're going to write a letter saying Trump made you do it. And then we're going to say you can go home right now. Time served. And they've all, how many people have taken this deal?
How is it that any different to our regular justice system?
Well, no, but this is my point. My point is, if they go head to head with Trump, Trump rallies his base.
Sure.
If they weaken his base by getting his supporters to write letters saying Trump did this and ordered me to do it, and then use that for propaganda, knowing these people, no one will ever hear their names.
Also,
they're
think
not
of
going to be
how
in the
this-
news. They won't raise money.
It's also laid that base. Now that you've heard that all these people have been charged, if you're a layperson, you go to work every day, you got the kids, you got stuff going on, you're not really paying attention. You have no idea what these people have been charged with. You hear, I don't know how many people have been arrested. Now all of a sudden it's like an actual thing. It's like, well, all those people were arrested. Of course they had to have done something terrible.
Yep.
So it adds to that level of, yeah, they did something.
They get
and
enough
of course you got to go for Trump because he's the orchestrator of all these people.
They get enough people to sign letters saying Trump ordered me to do it. Then they say, we have sworn witness testimony from 372 people saying Trump instructed them to do it.
Under duress, of course, but is that
Doesn't
mentioned
matter.
in the argument?
That it's part of the strategy. So ultimately, my point is, if they start going after personalities, Owen Schroyer, I think, proves this point. One, they have a pretext. He was on the Capitol grounds. Shouldn't have done it. You go to prison for 3 months? That's ridiculous. But they're using his speech. The speech is opening the door to targeting other personalities who are online. The next person we'll likely see charged is going to be someone who maybe has 100, 200,000 followers, subscribers, and they're going to say they advocated for, incited, and instructed people to commit a crime. I'm going to tell you right now, there were people on Twitter, on YouTube, and other social platforms before January 6th who posted videos advocating for people to engage in direct conflict in
Really?
DC.
Like violent conflict?
Yep. No, and there's no question about it. I think these people, some of whom have instantly flipped and become total DeSantis supporters, probably flipped because they know, they're next in line. After the J6s are on the ground, they're going to come out and say, you committed an act of sedition by making these videos advocating for insurrection against the United States government. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.